here we are at the grinder. As you can see, it's a little shiny. I gave it a bit of a brushing to knock some of the heavier scale off it. And I'm just gonna bring it on, give it a little shape, and polish it up. I figured drilling the holes in here might be easier and nicer once this is cleaned up a little bit. Give me an idea what I'm working with. So, I guess without further ado, let's fire up the grinder and get this shifted over. Editing me, perhaps we ought to show the roughing out on the rough belt and then the final polish and kind of skip the middle belts unless something fun happens. Alright. For a bit, I was aiming at the if you want it perfect, make it perfect, trying to get all the pits and dark spots and crap out. At the moment, it's basically out of the blade. It will get adjusted as I go up the grits. Adjusted. It will get cleaned up as I go up the grits, most of it. So I'm afraid I've gone from the if you want it perfect, make it perfect to hey, let's just make that pretty good, huh? Right now it rocks pretty well, so I think this could work pretty good. Well, it's not the prettiest by far, though it is prettier than it was. The edge is a touch on the thin side, as I suppose could be expected. She still rocks really nicely. Now we're doing the 220 and we'll polish it up as much as we can on the grinder before taking it out for, well, let me rephrase that, before diving into the filing. And smacking my camera with my mask thing. Okay. Alright. Fourth belt. I think my real problem with this is that I keep forgetting that rough shape is not final grind, and I keep trying to make it as pretty as I possibly can. Well, anyway, now for the less fun stuff. Let's go to the vise and file for hours. Yay. Alright, so here we are. Yeah, clamp down here, it's sitting in this little bitty chair. It's nice and right at eye level, so I can get at it with assorted files. I thought about perhaps dremeling it a bit, but I don't know, I haven't really been having much luck with it. And some of these bits are flat and are going to want to be filed a lot. And some of them are just awkward and I don't really want to make a big mess out of it. Though if I did have the Dremel, I could try to spot clean some of these some of these bits of forge scale that are left over. But anyway, enough dilly-dallying. Let's dive in. I wanted to do a little bit of extra work on the inside, less so on the top, just thinking that if I get these edges now when I don't have scales in my way, assuming I do the cleanup of them after I've put the scales on, so I know where exactly fingers are going to be hitting and what needs to be smoothed out and divoted to make it comfortable. But for now, I think that's about that for that. Now we just need to punch a couple holes in her. And no, I'm not punching holes. I'm drilling holes in this. There's a habit, punch holes. So if I had a drill press, I could just, you know, clamp this into the drill press and drill it that way. I don't, however. So I have it clamped over the edge of the table on my grinder, as that's just about the most stable thing I could find. I have this little drill block, which essentially sort of holds your drill bit upright, because I am notorious for being poor at cutting holes, drilling holes. Thankfully, these don't need to be too terribly precise. So I can just kind of start here, make sure that's held down tight against that, and see how slow I can get this to actually turn. how wobbly it is really makes me wonder if this thing is worth anything at all. I am over the end, right? Yeah. It's like a little spring. That's cute. I wonder if I ought to throw a dab of cutting oil in there. I don't know. Like, so far, I think I'm being slow enough that it's not causing problems yet. Oh, seriously? Okay, let's see, that's about a thumb from the edge. Now I'll put these fairly close together. Well, if it was important that they be lined up, I would have scribed a line. Keep telling myself that. Yeah, a little polish on that side just to knock off the slivers and curls and whatnot. And yeah. Yeah, this little blade looks like it's just about ready for heat treating to me. In fact, I'd say it's all the way ready for heat treating. The bevels could be a lot better. They're a little off kilter, so I'll have to remember that and watch it. Make sure it doesn't get too bent out of shape. I'm a little nervous with all that, but yeah, that's to be expected. I'm a very nervous person. Anyway, see you out at the forge. Guess who overheated his oil? I'm in a very awkward state as it's not wide enough for that to sit down all the way, which is fundamentally bad. Great way to introduce all sorts of twists and turns. Anyway, I'm starting the 3 rounds of normalization. That's bringing it up to non-magnetic, kind of a golden color all the way through. As you can see, there are dark spots to it, which is not what we want. I'm letting it cool down. I'll bring you back when it's time to harden it. Okay, so this is go time. I have noticed while I was normalizing it that it's kind of taken a little bit of a dish in the heavy part of the blade. The bevels aren't perfectly even, so they're due to stretch a little bit. So I'm going to quench the edge here and possibly part of that, but before it gets too cold, if it is taking a little bit of a bend, I'm going to run off like a crazy person out of camera and jump down into the basement, clamp it in the vise to try to straighten it out, and hope that that is enough to help. And as quick as I'll need to be, I'll probably end up doing that before I even test for hardness to see if the temper took, which is a little scary. Just trimmed my beard to cut the bits that I burned out. I should apparently wait till tonight. God damn it, it did still dish a little bit. That seemed to have done the trick, more or less. If I could get a reasonable shot without wiggling all over. So, at this point, the blade's pretty hard. Not as much the handle, yeah. Bite, 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 no bite. Yeah, cool. So the edge of the blade is really hard. It softens up already coming up just to the spine of the blade, and then softens up quite a bit more by there. I am very happy. Alright, so we've just shined the edge up a little bit so we can see the temper colors are moving. So this one's going to be pretty tricky compared to some of the other ones I've worked on, in that I can't really tuck this in the forge to get some heat through it. I'd considered propping this on a brick so it wasn't getting direct heat, but the spine of it would still be getting heat pumping out of the forge if I turned it back on. I'm not 100% sure if that's a good idea, bad idea, indifferent. Okay, so issues that I'm seeing now with this plan that I didn't see before is that these edges that stick out past the brick could get warmed up too quickly. And on the bottom where I can't see it might run away from me. Does look like a little color starting to come up on those edges. Shit, that's already golden over there. As I said, those corners are going to be the biggest problem. So now we're in an awkward, annoying race of trying to get the rest of it up to where that one spot already is before that spot goes too far. Starting to get to that gold. Oh yeah, that's looking lovely over there. Just needs a little bit more over here. Oh shit. Way too far. Okay. This is a bad technique, and everything I've done I need to redo. I'll bring you back later. Damn it. Between last time and now has been a real trying time for me. After getting impatient and messing up my temper there, I first tried to reharden it, and well, I cleaned it up. I'm trying to remember order of operations. Yeah, I cleaned it up slightly. It's been a little while. I cleaned it up slightly and tried my best to reharden it. Only problem is that time it didn't harden very well. It was so thin on the edge that I could bend the edge of it with my finger. I should have taken some pictures at least, if not made a little video of it, but I didn't. I was in a pretty bad place mentally. I was incredibly despondent. This was meant to be a surprise birthday present for a buddy of mine, and yeah, well, the birthday came and went, and I had nothing, so I was a little grouchy. But I thought to myself, like, what's the most likely issue? Probably just the sorted heats I had it at were cooking the carbon out of it, and the edge was decarburized. So I took it back to the grinder. I ground it down. God, it's ugly. Much thinner than it was before, even. And it wasn't thick before, but like, the back edge, I think, had an extra 1/16 in it at least, probably an extra 1/8 in it. Yeah, so it's much thinner. Again, I have the edge not quite perfectly dime thickness all the way through, but I spent quite a lot of time on cleaning it up and getting it ready, and hoping that if I do it in a little more controlled fashion, namely baking it in the oven for tempering. I don't know why I was so convinced I had to do it on the... Anyway, doesn't really matter. I was trying a thing, and I learned a thing, and if nothing else, I got more time on the grinder and a little more practice there. Though, as you can see, judging by points like this, where I have these ugly lines, I didn't do a very good job on it. I was considering whipping up a batch of Super Quench, which is functionally salt water, with a surfactant in it to reduce the surface tension of it, so that it is as wet as water can be, essentially, and it's supposed to work really well. People say you can use relatively mild steel and get results that are nearly as durable as a good hardened steel in certain situations. A blacksmith was talking about how he made all of his hardy tools out of it. That way he didn't have to worry about them shattering or doing anything silly, because they were still mild steel, but they would be hard enough to cut hot things for the most part. So I was planning on using Super Quench. I imagine I'm cutting like the last 5 minutes of rambling. But it said you're not supposed to use it on anything greater than about 50 points of carbon, like a 1050 or something. Though I've heard other people saying if you use it on 1095 it works great. I was thinking about trying it with this and seeing if I put it in a Super Quench solution. I have all the materials to make it, I just haven't got around to it. If I put it in there, will it like cool off and get super hard? Or will it crack into pieces? Or will it just, I don't know, shatter? As thin as it is, I imagine the heat transfer would be pretty minimal. Like if I took one of my punches or something, like the edge might crack as if the edge cools down super quick and the inside is still warm and expanded. But we will see. So here's an interesting problem. I came out to grab my oil warmer. Something's missing here. We'll tuck that in anyway. Turns out this cast iron just sort of burnt away. So yeah, that was a fun little thing to learn. If you have old cast iron window right things first, and I think I missed my opportunity. But just out of morbid curiosity, yep, we aren't even. We aren't even hard. Yep. I think I just overworked this poor piece of steel. I did too much to it, made it, I don't know, too prone to, I say probably just cooked too much carbon out of it. Alright, well, I do declare this piece dead. It can join the oil warmer. In the spirit of full disclosure, I'm recording this after I've edited most of the videos here. What an emotional roller coaster it has been. The frustration of making all the mistakes and just kind of watching it go from like, oh, it's almost beautiful, look at that nice straw color across the whole thing, it's just a little shy here, and ah, crap, now it's too much. That just should have stopped when I was ahead and let it go, but I pushed it and kind of ruined it, and it just went downhill from there. Seeing that all again as I was editing it, oh boy, that was a difficult bit of emotional trauma there. It's the kind of thing where you think, oh, it could almost be tweaked, you know, when you're tempering maybe, but yeah, it's just so incredibly soft. Bend it in my hands. Arr. Very sad. Why I thought it would be a wonderful idea to try to temper something that typically is a very precise and controlled process. Why I thought it'd be a good idea to do that, just kind of, oh, let's just tuck it into the forge. I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of beating myself up over that. I should have known better. When I first said, I don't know how I'm going to like put heat on the back here without overcooking the front, I should have said, you know, I'll just stick the whole thing in the oven, do the whole thing, and then take it out and hit the back with a torch or something to get... Shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? So that's the thing. Getting caught up on the what you should have done is a very tricky thing for your brain, because when you imagine it, it was real, even though it wasn't at the time. It's peculiar. Brains are tricky and mean sometimes. So this one, sadly, just gets to be a learning experience. I'm definitely not giving up, though. I will successfully make an ulu for my friend, and probably one for me, because we don't really have a good rocker chopper at the moment. Got good straight slicers, but nothing that's good here. For now, we're putting this one to bed, and I'll go work on something else, I guess. So please like if you like, don't if you didn't. Leave a comment. When did you know that it went too far? What was the clue that made you go, no, no, no? And as always, have a wonderful day.